The Galactic Council watched Earth closely. From far away, the humans looked small and fragile, yet the Council could not ignore how quickly they were changing. In just a few centuries, humanity had moved from simple machines to powerful computers, from sailing ships to rockets that could leave their planet. It was confusing to the Council. The humans did not follow rules the way other species did. They were unpredictable, sometimes reckless, sometimes brilliant. The Council began to worry that humans might grow too strong to control. James, a human ambassador, had been summoned to a meeting aboard the Council's massive space station. The room was bright and cold, filled with strange alien shapes and voices that hummed in unison. He stood straight, feeling the weight of what was about to happen. The Council spoke to him, their words calm but firm. Humans are not ready for freedom in the galaxy. You must follow our laws exactly, or we will place your planet under containment. Your technology, your movements, everything will be limited. The ultimatum was clear, but it did not feel final. James knew humans were clever. He knew they could adapt. Emily, his colleague and close friend, stood beside him. She had a sharp mind and a careful way of thinking. She whispered to James, "They think we will obey without question. They do not understand us at all. They cannot imagine how humans respond when threatened." James nodded slightly, feeling both fear and pride. The Council saw humans as weak, but that was a mistake. Humans had survived worse. They had faced disease, war, and disaster, yet they had grown stronger each time. When the meeting ended, James and Emily returned to Earth. They walked through cities filled with lights, screens, and machines. People were busy with their lives, unaware of the threat that loomed beyond the sky. James could see it in the eyes of the people he passed. Humanity was curious, always questioning, always looking forward. Emily said quietly, "They do not see what we are capable of. They cannot imagine that we do not need them to guide us." In the following days, James met with scientists, engineers, and leaders. He saw the same determination everywhere. Michael, a young engineer, showed him a new type of energy generator. It could power entire cities more efficiently than anything the Council had expected from humans. Jessica, a strategist, explained how communication networks could be protected and rerouted if needed. The humans were quietly preparing not to fight, but to survive and to continue growing. James realized that this quiet preparation was a form of resistance. Humans did not need weapons yet. They used their minds. Emily worked with communities, teaching them about resilience and cooperation. She reminded everyone that challenges could be opportunities. "They want to control us," she said, "but every rule, every limit they place is a chance to learn and grow stronger." People listened. They shared ideas, worked together, and began small projects to protect their freedom. James watched it all and felt a sense of hope. Humans were not alone. They had each other, and that made them powerful in ways the Council could not measure. At night, James looked at the stars. The Council's ships were visible only as tiny lights in the distance. They seemed quiet, patient, waiting to see what humans would do. But James knew humans had always found a way. From the first explorers who crossed oceans to the first people who touched the sky, humanity had never stopped moving forward. Emily joined him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "We cannot let fear rule us," she said. "The galaxy may try to control us, but it will not succeed. Not if we trust ourselves and each other." James smiled. He believed her. He knew that humans were unpredictable, and that unpredictability was their greatest strength. The Council had given their warning, but humanity was not intimidated. Every factory, every school, every laboratory became a place of quiet preparation. James and Emily continued their work, guiding humans to think creatively, to anticipate challenges, and to solve problems in ways no one else could imagine. It was not rebellion, not yet. It was survival, and it was enough. The galaxy could threaten, it could monitor, it could try to control, but it could not stop the human spirit. As weeks passed, James saw signs of change. Communities became more connected. People began sharing resources, ideas, and knowledge faster than ever before. Michael's inventions spread quickly, Jessica's plans strengthened networks, and Emily's teachings inspired ordinary people to be alert and ready. James realized that the Council had underestimated something fundamental. Humans did not need to obey to thrive. They adapted. They improved. They survived. And with each day they were preparing for whatever the galaxy might throw at them next. And so, humanity continued quietly, unknowingly building a future that even the Council could not predict. James and Emily walked among the people, helping, guiding, observing. Every smile, every small discovery, every shared laugh was a step toward a world that could never be fully controlled. The Council had given its warning. Humanity had listened, but not with fear. They had listened with curiosity, determination, and a readiness that the galaxy had never seen before. And that made all the difference. The sky over Earth changed. Massive alien ships appeared, their shapes strange and sharp against the blue and green of the planet. The Galactic Council had sent enforcers to monitor humans closely. Cities that had always felt free now seemed watched. Every movement, every conversation, every signal was being recorded. Space travel was restricted. Rockets that were once proudly launched into orbit were now grounded. New inventions faced delays. The aliens made it clear. Nothing would move without their permission. People noticed the change quickly. Flights were canceled, communications slowed, and scientists complained that their work was under constant review. At first, fear spread. People whispered in homes, streets became quieter, and some looked up at the ships in worry. They wondered if the Council had finally found a way to control humanity completely. But even as fear tried to settle, humans began to adapt. Humans always adapted. Michael, a young scientist, worked late into the night in his small lab. The enforcers had sophisticated tools, scanners that could detect even the smallest signal. Yet Michael had grown up learning that every problem had a solution. He studied the alien devices carefully, noticing patterns, small errors, and blind spots. Slowly, he began to find ways to send messages, move information, and continue experiments without being noticed. Each time the enforcers tried to stop him, he found another subtle way around their systems. Michael knew that clever thinking could overcome even the most powerful restrictions. Meanwhile, Jessica, a strategist, saw the bigger picture. It was not just about hiding experiments or sending messages. Humanity needed networks that could survive and act quietly. She began to organize people across major cities, connecting scientists, engineers, teachers, and even ordinary workers. They learned to share ideas and code, to pass instructions in ways the enforcers could not understand. Each city became a small node in a larger web, a network that could keep humans moving forward despite the Council's interference. Jessica's calm and clear planning gave people hope and direction. Even when the sky was full of alien ships, humans felt they could still act. In small towns and villages, people also found ways to adapt. Farmers shared energy supplies and machines without reporting to anyone. Students created learning groups to continue their studies. Communities became stronger and more connected. Restrictions that were meant to slow humanity down instead sparked creativity. Every limit was a challenge, a puzzle to solve. Every rule was a test of patience, ingenuity, and teamwork. People quickly learned that the more the aliens tried to control them, the stronger they became. James and Emily watched it all from the capital. They saw humans working quietly but effectively, finding ways to innovate and communicate. Emily remarked, "They think fear will stop us. They do not see that humans thrive under pressure." James nodded, realizing she was right. The Council had hoped that heavy restrictions would make humans obedient. Instead, the restrictions forced humans to think differently, to plan carefully, and to cooperate more than ever before. Every city became a laboratory of ingenuity. Michael continued his experiments with small machines and communication devices. He discovered that by changing frequencies and using hidden codes, he could bypass alien scans entirely. He could move small messages from one city to another, guiding scientists and engineers across the planet without alerting the enforcers. His work was quiet, hidden, and powerful. It showed humans that they could keep learning and building, even under strict surveillance. Michael's small victories inspired others to look for their own clever solutions. Jessica's network grew stronger every day. She created meeting points where information could be exchanged safely. People learned to trust each other and to act quickly when needed. The cities, which once worked independently, now functioned like parts of a single organism. Humans were connected, alert, and prepared. The aliens had assumed humans would crumble under pressure, but instead, humans were learning faster than ever. Restrictions were not a wall, they were a challenge to rise above. Even ordinary citizens played a role. Children learned to pass messages in school without speaking aloud. Workers in factories found ways to continue production while appearing to follow alien rules. Teachers hid knowledge in lessons that looked ordinary but taught important skills. Humanity had turned every rule and every scan into an opportunity. They were quiet, careful, but unstoppable. The Council's enforcers could monitor actions, but they could not stop ideas from spreading. Over time, the aliens realized something they had not expected. Despite restrictions, humans were not slowed. Cities were more connected, communities were stronger, and innovation was still happening. Every attempt to control, limit, or halt progress became a step toward human creativity and unity. James and Emily saw it clearly, the Council's strategy had backfired. By trying to contain humans, the aliens had made them cleverer, more cooperative, and even more determined to thrive. At night, Michael, Jessica, James, and Emily would meet secretly to share plans and observations. They discussed ways to keep humans safe, how to protect information, and how to use the restrictions to their advantage. Every restriction became a lesson in adaptation. Every rule became a puzzle to solve. The humans were not only surviving, they were learning, improving, and preparing for the future. Emily said softly, "We are not just resisting. We are growing stronger because of them." Even the alien enforcers began to notice. They scanned, patrolled, and monitored, but they could not understand how humans always found a way. They expected fear, obedience, and mistakes. Instead, they saw coordination, cleverness, and quiet progress. The humans' resilience was like nothing the Council had ever encountered. For the first time, the aliens wondered if their rules could ever control this species. They watched humans work together, adapt, and improve under pressure. It was impressive and worrying at the same time. The people of Earth were proving a simple truth. No matter the restrictions, humans could adapt. No matter the surveillance, humans could think creatively. No matter the rules, humans could cooperate and survive. Michael's small inventions, Jessica's networks, Emily's guidance, and James's leadership all came together in a silent, unstoppable movement. Humanity had learned the most important lesson. Being restricted did not mean being powerless. Being watched did not mean being weak. Being controlled did not mean giving up. And so, humans continued their quiet work, day by day, night by night. They turned restrictions into challenges, rules into opportunities, and fear into determination. The Council had thought they could stop them, but humans had already found a way forward. Each city, each network, each small invention was a step toward freedom, a step toward strength, and a step toward proving that no force in the galaxy could truly hold back the human spirit. The enforcers remained in the sky, but their presence only sharpened human focus. Every scan, every restriction, every attempt to control became fuel for human ingenuity. Michael smiled as he tested another hidden device. Jessica directed another message safely across the continent. James and Emily watched with pride, knowing that humanity was learning faster than the Council could ever predict. They were not just surviving. They were thriving. And the galaxy would soon see that no restrictions could contain a species that refused to stop growing. The sky over Earth grew darker as massive alien fleets moved into position. The ships were enormous, casting shadows over oceans and cities alike. The Galactic Council had decided that watching was no longer enough. Humans had grown too independent, too clever, and the Council feared they might one day defy the rules completely. The fleets were a warning, a show of power meant to force obedience. But the humans did not respond with fear. They responded with unity. James and Emily observed the approaching ships from the capital city. From their vantage point, the fleet seemed endless, stretching across the horizon like a storm about to strike. Emily said softly, "They think size and strength will be enough. They do not understand how humans respond when they are threatened." James nodded, knowing she was right. Humans did not give up easily. They adapted, they planned, and when necessary they fought, not always with weapons but with intelligence and teamwork. John, a young and daring strategist, organized a group of volunteers for covert missions. They were tasked with disrupting the alien systems quietly, without open confrontation. Every ship, every scanner, every drone that hovered near Earth was a challenge to overcome. John's team worked in the shadows, moving at night and using hidden routes to reach critical alien devices. They studied the systems, looking for patterns, weaknesses, anything that could be used to their advantage. Each mission was dangerous, but each success brought hope. Ashley, a communications expert, worked tirelessly in her control room. Her job was to keep Earth's networks running and to mislead the alien fleets. She created signals that looked ordinary but contained false information. Alien sensors would pick up the signals and think humans were following instructions, while in reality, people were coordinating defenses and sharing information freely. Ashley's careful planning allowed cities to continue operating without panic. Every message she sent was a small victory, a way to turn the Council's power against itself. In the factories, laboratories, and schools, humans continued their quiet work. Children learned and shared ideas in secret. Engineers built new tools to improve energy and communication, and teachers passed knowledge without alerting the enforcers. Even ordinary citizens contributed. Delivery drivers moved coded packages, repair crews hid essential equipment, and farmers found ways to supply energy and materials quietly. Humanity was no longer acting as isolated individuals. They were connected, organized, and determined to survive as one. The alien fleets were puzzled. They had expected humans to freeze in fear, to submit to orders, or to make mistakes that could be easily punished. Instead, they saw coordination, creativity, and resourcefulness. Every attempt to suppress innovation had only produced new solutions. When one route was blocked, humans found another. When one system failed, another was ready. The aliens realized that human determination was something they could not calculate or predict. Their strength, speed, and numbers meant little against minds that refused to stop thinking. John and his team successfully infiltrated a fleet's communication hub. They bypassed security systems, manipulated signals, and sent false commands that confused alien patrols. A single small team had disrupted operations over 100 ships, creating chaos in the enemy ranks. No one on Earth knew all the details, but everyone felt the effect. Ships moved in wrong directions, patrols scanned empty areas, and alien commanders struggled to understand what was happening. The humans' ingenuity had become their greatest weapon. Ashley coordinated closely with John. She intercepted alien communications and used them to plan the next steps. By knowing where the aliens expected humans to be, she could guide teams safely through dangerous zones. She sent coded instructions through hidden networks, allowing cities to remain productive while secretly assisting John's missions. Every message, every signal, every bit of information helped humans stay ahead. The aliens tried to anticipate their moves, but human creativity always found a way around their calculations. James and Emily worked to maintain morale across the planet. They traveled from city to city, speaking to people and reminding them that their efforts mattered. "You are not just surviving," James said. "You are showing the galaxy what humans can do when we act together." Emily added, "Every clever idea, every small victory, every step forward proves that control is impossible when humans refuse to be controlled." People listened, inspired by their words. Even in the shadow of massive alien fleets, hope remained alive. In a hidden laboratory, Michael continued his experiments. He built small drones that could move without detection, energy generators that were efficient and quiet, and communication devices that bypassed the alien scanners entirely. His inventions were shared with key people across the planet, helping cities operate independently while still contributing to the larger effort. Every new tool became another way to resist control, another way to ensure that humanity could continue to grow and learn. Jessica worked closely with communities, organizing networks that could act quickly in emergencies. She trained leaders in each city to manage resources, coordinate teams, and maintain secrecy. She also prepared contingency plans in case the fleets attacked directly. Humans were ready not because they had weapons as powerful as the alien ships, but because they were clever, organized, and united. Each city became a small fortress of planning and preparation. The alien commanders began to understand that brute force would not work. Humans did not rely solely on weapons, they relied on their minds. Each restriction imposed, each patrol sent, each command issued was met with an equally intelligent response. The aliens had never faced a species like this. Their fleets were powerful, but the humans' ingenuity, teamwork, and determination made them unpredictable and dangerous. Even from space, the Council could see that their plan was failing. On Earth, ordinary people continued to play their part. Children created codes, artists shared hidden messages through their work, and workers in factories found ways to keep production going despite strict monitoring. Every individual action was small, but together they formed a powerful resistance. Humans had turned obedience into defiance, restriction into opportunity, and fear into determination. By the time weeks passed, the alien fleets were in disarray. Ships collided, patrols were misled, and important systems failed. John's missions had crippled communication lines, Ashley's networks misdirected fleets, and human cities operated efficiently while the aliens scrambled to regain control. The Council had underestimated the human mind. They had assumed that fear and power would be enough. They were wrong. Humans had something stronger than fear or power: creativity, intelligence, and a refusal to be controlled. James, Emily, John, Ashley, Michael, and Jessica gathered to review the progress. They smiled at each other, knowing that humanity had passed a critical test. The fleets were powerful, but humans had proven that even the strongest force could be challenged when people acted together and thought creatively. "They thought we would follow their rules without question," Emily said. "They thought they could make us weak. But they are learning the hard way: humans do not break easily." James nodded. "We are stronger than they imagined, and we are just getting started." The alien commanders observed the chaos from orbit. They had expected fear, hesitation, and mistakes. What they saw instead was coordination, clever planning, and unexpected unity. Every attempt to enforce obedience had been met with defiance. Every plan to restrict innovation had been met with new ideas. Humanity was proving something the Council had never anticipated. They could not control a species that refused to stop thinking, learning, and working together. Earth returned to a new rhythm. People continued their work, quiet but determined. John's teams prepared for new missions, Ashley refined communication networks, and cities adapted to function independently while supporting each other. The fleets remained in orbit, a visible threat, but one that humans no longer feared. They had learned to act as one, to adapt, and to use every challenge to grow stronger. The Council had thought that fleets, rules, and intimidation could force obedience. They had underestimated the human spirit. Humans were not just surviving under pressure, they were thriving. Every restriction, every patrol, every attempt to suppress them had created a stronger, smarter, and more united humanity. The galaxy had seen the first real defiance from Earth, and it would never forget it. The alien fleets had grown restless. Weeks of confusion, misdirection, and unexpected human ingenuity had shaken the Council. They were no longer sure that simple patrols and surveillance would control Earth. The humans had outsmarted them at every turn, and the Council knew it was time to act decisively. Massive enforcement drones hovered in orbit, patrolling and scanning for any sign of defiance. The Council believed that a show of force in space would finally bring humanity to submission. But the humans were ready. David, a skilled engineer and strategist, studied the movements of the drones carefully. He had been analyzing patterns for days, noting the timing, the routes, and the energy sources of the massive machines. Each drone emitted signals that were regular, predictable, and slightly flawed. David understood that brute force could not win against the drones. They were too strong, too fast, and too numerous. Instead, he relied on careful planning, timing, and clever strategy. Every move had to be precise, every step coordinated. Lauren, an expert in communications and covert operations, joined David in planning the mission. She had been guiding information networks across the planet, misdirecting alien scanners, and supporting John and Ashley's earlier missions. Together, they designed a plan to disable the drones without a direct attack. The goal was not destruction but control. By taking key points in orbit, humanity could force the drones to obey indirectly, creating a safe window to regain freedom in space. The operation began under the cover of darkness. Human teams launched small, specialized satellites that moved quietly through space. Each satellite carried tools designed to interfere with the drone's energy fields and communication systems. Michael had helped design the devices, ensuring they could bypass alien detection. Cities across Earth coordinated in real time, sending information to guide the satellites to their targets. It was a delicate operation relying on timing, precision, and trust. As the satellites approached the drones, David and Lauren worked tirelessly to adjust trajectories. A single mistake could alert the Council and trigger a violent response. Yet the humans moved with quiet confidence. David said, "Remember, we are not fighting them with force. We are using our minds. Every calculation must be perfect." Lauren nodded, her eyes fixed on the monitors showing the positions of hundreds of drones. The team was tense but determined. They had been preparing for this moment for weeks, and failure was not an option. The first drones began to falter. Signals were redirected, energy fields disrupted, and communication loops overloaded. One by one, the drones lost their ability to act independently. The Council's commanders watched from their command stations, confused and alarmed. Their powerful machines, which they had trusted to enforce obedience, were being controlled by a species they had considered primitive. Earth's humans had outmaneuvered them without firing a single weapon. David guided a team of satellites to strategic points in orbit, where they could influence the movement of entire groups of drones. Lauren coordinated with Earth cities to maintain communications, ensuring that all satellites acted in perfect synchrony. The alien drones moved as if controlled by some invisible hand, their usual efficiency replaced by careful, human-directed precision. The Council realized too late that humans had turned their own tools against them. Back on Earth, James and Emily watched events unfold from the Capitol's observation center. The monitors showed the drones faltering, redirecting, and eventually ceasing their patrols entirely. Emily whispered, "They thought they could control us, but look at this. They have no idea what humans can do when we plan together." James nodded, feeling a mix of pride and relief. Humanity had achieved something remarkable. Without brute force, without destroying the alien fleets, they had regained control of space. Communities across the planet celebrated quietly but intensely. Children clapped as news came in through hidden networks. Scientists, engineers, and workers shared smiles, knowing that months of careful preparation had paid off. Michael, who had helped design the satellite devices, smiled as he watched data flow from orbit. Jessica and Ashley coordinated information networks to ensure that every human effort contributed to the operation's success. The humans had proven that strategy, intelligence, and cooperation could achieve what sheer strength could not. The Council's commanders were stunned. They had seen many species across the galaxy, but none like humans. None had outsmarted them in such a way. Every plan they devised to control Earth had been met with adaptation, intelligence, and teamwork. Their drones, once symbols of power and enforcement, were now silent or moving as humans directed. The Council had underestimated something essential. Humans were not just clever. They were persistent, adaptable, and united in ways no other species had been. David and Lauren executed the final phase of their plan. Satellites were placed to ensure continuous influence over the drones. If the Council tried to regain control, humans could respond immediately. It was a delicate balance of offense and defense, a silent claim to authority in orbit. Every action required coordination and timing, but humans had practiced for months. Now at last their preparation had succeeded. Emily spoke to the people of Earth through hidden networks. Her words were simple but powerful. We have shown the galaxy that control is impossible when humans work together. Every challenge, every restriction, every threat has made us stronger. We will continue to grow, to explore, and to create. Today we have taken the first real step into freedom. Across continents, people listened, inspired, and united. The alien fleets, though still vast and imposing, could no longer dictate movement in orbit. Humans had gained control of critical points, giving them space to maneuver, to explore, and to protect themselves. The Council realized that Earth was no longer a simple world to be controlled. It had become a symbol of resilience, a place that showed that no matter the power, no matter the technology, human ingenuity could never be suppressed. On the ground, ordinary citizens continued their work with renewed determination. Farmers, engineers, students, and teachers all contributed in small ways to ensure that humanity remained prepared. Every small action now had meaning. Even daily routines were part of a larger effort to keep Earth free and secure. People understood that cooperation and clever thinking were their greatest weapons. James, standing beside Emily, watched the night sky as satellites moved silently above, guiding the drones and securing humanity's place in orbit. They thought we would be easy to control, he said quietly. But humans never give up. We find ways. We adapt. We survive. Emily smiled, her eyes reflecting the stars. And we grow stronger every time we are challenged, she replied. David and Lauren monitored the final data, ensuring that the Council could not regain control. Their clever strategies had proven more powerful than the alien fleets. Humans had achieved a victory not through violence, but through intelligence, coordination, and perseverance. They had shown that the mind, when united and determined, could overcome even the most formidable force. The people of Earth knew that the battle was not over, but the turning point had been reached. Humanity had claimed its place in space, demonstrating to the galaxy that no amount of control could suppress their spirit. The aliens, once confident in their power, now watched humans with a new respect, and perhaps fear. Earth had become a symbol, a reminder that intelligence, courage, and unity could outmatch even the strongest force. As night fell across the planet, satellites continued their silent work, drones moved under human guidance, and cities thrived quietly. Humanity had proven its greatest strength. It was clever, it was united, and it would never be controlled. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and the humans had outsmarted the Council in ways no one could have predicted. The Galactic Council slowly began to retreat. After weeks of unexpected setbacks, failed strategies, and human ingenuity that outsmarted even their most advanced technology, the aliens realized that their plans had failed. They could not control Earth and they could not force humans to obey. Quietly, without announcements or fanfare, the Council pulled its fleets back to distant stations, retreating to save face and to avoid embarrassment. The humans had won not through strength alone, but through intelligence, teamwork, and determination. On Earth, people felt a cautious relief. Cities were alive with activity once again, and for the first time in months, the sky seemed open and free. Michael and his fellow scientists returned to their laboratories, continuing experiments that had been delayed. Their inventions were no longer secret. They could be developed openly, shared freely, and tested without fear of interference. Human technology was already advancing faster than ever, fueled by the lessons learned during the confrontation. Every failure of the council had become a lesson, every obstacle an opportunity to improve. James and Emily walked through the streets of the capital, observing the quiet celebrations. People smiled, hugged, and spoke freely, knowing that their planet had survived a challenge unlike any before. They thought they could make us weak, James said, but all they did was make us stronger. Every threat, every restriction, every attempt to control us only taught us how to survive, how to plan, how to work together. Emily nodded, her eyes reflecting pride and relief. And they still do not understand us, she said. They will never fully understand what humans are capable of. In every corner of the planet, humanity celebrated quietly. Children played games that taught strategy and creativity, students experimented in schools with ideas that would have been forbidden under alien watch, and workers in factories applied new techniques that improved efficiency and production. Ordinary citizens who had once feared the alien presence, now acted with confidence. Even the smallest contributions, sharing information, helping a neighbor, or teaching a skill, were recognized as part of a larger effort that had kept humanity free. David and Lauren continued to monitor orbit. The satellites and systems they had placed during the confrontation remained active, ensuring that Earth could defend itself if needed. Their work was not about aggression but about security. They had learned that foresight, planning, and coordination were more powerful than weapons alone. The human presence in space was now secure, a silent warning to the galaxy that Earth could not be controlled without consent. Jessica and Ashley worked tirelessly to strengthen networks across continents. They coordinated knowledge sharing, resource distribution, and education. The lessons learned under pressure became permanent systems that would continue to benefit humanity. What had started as covert networks and secret communications had now become tools for progress. Humanity had discovered its true strength: unity, intelligence, and the ability to adapt. The Council's interference had only accelerated these developments. James and Emily stood together on a hill outside the city, looking at the stars. The alien fleets had vanished beyond the edge of the atmosphere, and for the first time the night sky seemed limitless. "They tried to dictate our path," James said softly, "to make rules for how we should live, how we should grow. But they failed. Humanity is free and we will continue to grow, learn, and explore." Emily smiled. "We have shown the galaxy that no authority, no matter how advanced, can control us if we refuse to be controlled. That is something no one can take away." Across Earth, communities worked to rebuild and improve what had been disrupted. Schools reopened fully, laboratories expanded, and cities invested in infrastructure that could withstand future threats. People taught each other not only survival skills but also lessons in creativity, problem-solving, and resilience. Human society became stronger, wiser, and more prepared than ever before. The attempt by the Council to restrict progress had failed, but it had left a lasting mark. Humans had learned how to anticipate challenges, plan for the unexpected, and work together toward common goals. Even the natural environment benefited from humanity's renewed focus. Cities incorporated cleaner energy sources, new designs for transportation were implemented, and scientists applied advanced technology to agriculture, medicine, and infrastructure. Humans had turned lessons of restriction and threat into long-term solutions for growth and survival. Each small step contributed to a future where Earth could thrive independently, capable of meeting challenges without fear. The children of Earth, who had grown up under the watchful eyes of alien enforcers, now looked to the sky with curiosity rather than fear. They learned about the missions led by John, David, Lauren, and others, understanding that clever thinking, courage, and teamwork could overcome even the most intimidating forces. Stories of resilience and strategy were shared in classrooms, homes, and communities. These lessons were simple yet profound. Humans could adapt, survive, and grow stronger under pressure. James and Emily reflected on the journey that had brought humanity to this point. From the first warning of the Council to the covert networks, the daring missions in orbit, and the final triumph over the drones, every moment had tested humans' intelligence and spirit. "We have learned something important," James said, "that no challenge is too great when people work together, when minds are free to think, and when hearts refuse to give up." Emily added, "And that is why the Council failed. They did not see the true strength of a species that never stops growing." Humans resumed space exploration, research, and cultural exchange without fear. Rockets launched to study other planets, satellites were placed to study stars, and communication networks reached further than ever before. Humanity's growth was no longer interrupted, limited, or watched. Instead, people acted freely, creatively, and boldly. The galaxy had tried to impose control, but humans had proven that intelligence, collaboration, and determination were stronger than any rule or fleet. The Council, observing from afar, could do nothing but acknowledge the defeat silently. Their plans had failed, and their authority had been challenged by a species they had once considered insignificant. They had underestimated humanity's adaptability, creativity, and resolve. Earth had shown the galaxy that no matter how advanced a species or organization might be, the human spirit could not be contained. James and Emily, looking at the stars one last time, felt a cautious optimism. The future was uncertain, but it was theirs to shape. Humanity had survived a test that no other species had faced. They had learned to work together, to plan strategically, and to use intelligence over force. Every human, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, had played a role in proving that no power in the galaxy could dictate their destiny. Across Earth, ordinary people returned to daily life with a renewed sense of purpose. Farmers worked their fields with improved tools, teachers taught lessons that encouraged creativity, and communities shared knowledge freely. Even leisure and art became ways to strengthen human connection and resilience. Life had returned to a rhythm, but one enriched with the lessons of survival, strategy, and unity. The victory was quiet but profound. Humans had not destroyed the Council or alien fleets. They had not relied on overwhelming weapons or brute force. Instead, they had used intelligence, clever strategy, and cooperation to gain freedom and control over their own future. The galaxy had attempted to dictate the path of humanity, but it had failed. Humans had proven that no authority, no matter how advanced, could contain their spirit. And so, life on Earth continued. Cities thrived, communities grew stronger, and humans reached further into space and knowledge than ever before. James and Emily looked at the horizon, the stars glittering above, and smiled. The galaxy had tested humanity, and humanity had passed. They were wiser, stronger, and ready for whatever challenges the future might bring. The spirit of Earth could not be contained, and no force in the galaxy could take that away.